Okay, this meeting is being recorded. It is now 6:03 p.m. This is the first meeting of the Fairfield Arts Commission. We do have a quorum. In a minute, ask everyone to go around and introduce themselves, but at this point, I'd like to introduce our first selectwoman, who I'm sure has a few opening remarks. Brenda?
Thank you, and I apologize that I'm not with you in person today. I worked from home today. I needed a little mental reset after yesterday, so please excuse my absence. I wanted to just first say thanks so much for stepping up to do this. There was a lot of excitement surrounding this commission, and I thought it might be helpful to just kind of remind everybody the purpose of it. Is that the art, and I'm going to read it right from the resolution, that the Arts Commission shall be able to stipulate, foster, and facilitate, encourage the development of the appreciation of artistic and cultural activities within the town of Fairfield, and to explore the possibility of designating a cultural district, which I know we've talked about in town for a while, within the town pursuant to section 1040 and the Connecticut General Statutes and the Department of Economic and Community Development. If such cultural district is designated within the town of Fairfield's Arts Commission shall act as the cultural district commission pursuant to such statute. So if a cultural district is not so designated, the commission shall promote, foster the arts within the town of Fairfield. So obviously this is, there's a lot of things you can work on. We could use some culture and artistic flair, I think, around the town. I have some ideas about it, and I'm sure you all do too. So I look forward to your work. And again, I do sincerely appreciate you taking the time to volunteer your time to our community. And so just to sort of kick it off today, I was just going to do the intro and then I was going to sign off. Mark is going to attend this meeting to do the agenda. We vote for a chair and vice chair and then secretary. And then from then on, he'll be available by email, but really the commission is yours to run, and any resources you need from us, we're always available by phone, by email, whatever it is that we can do to help foster any work that you want to participate, things that you want to create, ideas that you have. We are completely available to you and look forward to all your great ideas and things that you're going to bring forward to the town. So I'll hand it over to Mark now.
Brenda, are we supposed to do the Pledge of Allegiance before we start the meeting? Or?
Well,
Absolutely. I didn't put it on the agenda, so if you want, you can.
He didn't put it on the agenda, but I'm always one for the pledge, so let's do it.
If you want to lead us in the pledge, that's fine.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's a little echo. Exactly. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you. And I think, Mark, you have, I'm just opening up all this, all the attachments in here.
Yeah, I'll maybe, again, I think I know everyone or have met everyone, but.
Yeah, welcome and introductions, I think is good. I'd like to stay for that part.
Yeah. I'm Mark Barnard. I'm the Director of Community Economic Development for the town. I'll be your MC, I guess, this evening. As Brenda said, we're very excited, and thank you all for volunteering to create our first Arts Commission. We've had a couple attempts over the time, both an outside 501c3 organization that helped facilitate arts and cultural activities in town, and then more recently an arts advisory board that was an ad hoc group. But this is our commission that, as Brenda indicated, there's a role in terms of facilitating, promoting the arts generally in town, but also more specifically look at this, whether or not the town would like to establish an arts district. Despite the fact we have a sign on Mill Plain Road, there isn't really, now there is an official process by which we can designate a district. We have begun the process of finally, we have an inventory of arts and cultural assets, which I'll share with you, as well as a map. part of it, but, you know, that was part of the conversation leading up to the creation of an arts commission. So, that's me, and I'm happy to attend when I'm able, but I know, you know, you all are very capable. You represent various organizations, been longstanding residents and members of the community, so I know you have all your ideas and energy and passion as well. So I'll just pass it around to my left, and Connor, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Connor Dean. I am the executive director and founder of now Black Rock Theater on Black Rock Turnpike in the ShopRite Plaza. We were formerly Broadway Method Academy. We're predominantly a training program for young kids interested in musical theater by linking them with working Broadway professionals in the industry. So we offer about 16 classes a week and then produce anywhere from 6 to 8 shows in our little 130-seat black box theater. We do professional shows, we do concerts, we do just kids shows, and we do shows with professionals and kids. So needless to say, like many of you, I'm very excited to be on this commission. Thank you to Brenda for the appointment, and looking forward to doing some good work with all of you.
Hi, I'm Christine Orlando, and I'm one of 2 owners of the studio. I'm running it for 16 years, and we teach grades. And it started off very small, just kids after school program, and now we're almost a co-op like thing with adults and pottery and drawing and painting. We have a staff working and teaching artists. Really happy to be part of it, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Clooney. I live in Italy, but I'm here just as I'm sorry, my back is to you, so I apologize. Hi, I'm Sam Goldstein. I've been living here many years. I've been watching the town grow and hoping to do that. I'm very excited about the committee because as I've looked at each and every one of you guys, it's terrific that we have someone from each and every source here so that we can convene and actually grow this cultural arts that we really do have seething in us, but have never really been fully developed yet. So I'm a marketer. I've taught marketing at Sacred Heart for 25 some odd years. I worked with Hasbro and helped develop them with this cultural transformation. There's a lot that I can talk about, and you'll hear it over the years that we work together. So that's it. Go ahead.
Another Sam.
Yes, 2 Sams, no waiting.
Sam's, one's not a golden retriever. Normally it's
No, right. I thought name that, right.
Sam Cargill, longtime resident of Southport, grew up here. I spent 20 years in LA and came back to my hometown, delayed to be here after so many years. I work for Aon Corporation, a global insurance broker and financial services firm. I have 3 jobs there. One of them is executive chairman of media and entertainment and private client, and I also run our global Endpoint business, which is our carrier management for the firm. It's in New York City. I am passionate about the arts. I owned a gallery in Southport with my late wife, Jennifer, Southport Galleries, and we invested and started it because we didn't want it to be a sneaker store in Southport. And it turned into a great venue and has now continued. His legacy is still for the arts and visual arts, and that will carry on from that perspective. Very passionate about the arts at Pequot Library, and endowing the show in October called Lipstick and Pearls, after my wife, and former RTM, former commissioner, harbor commissioner. So I'm engaged with the town and delighted to be part of this. And thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Sam.
Hi, I'm Charlie McDonald. I'm a transplant to Fairfield. My wife's a lifelong resident here. I came here about 40 years ago. My father always told me how to give back, so as soon as I got here, I started volunteering at Operation Hope. I've had a long-term relationship with them, almost 35 years. I'm a former chairman of the board at Operation Hope. When I left there, I joined the board of directors over at the Fairfield Theater Company, and I'm currently the corporate secretary over there. As far as town service, I did a couple of terms as the member and then the chair of the Solid Waste and Recycling Commission. And not court ordered either. Could have been, Brenda, I don't know, back in the day.
I'm Lou Human, and I'm the former chair of Fairfield Theater Company. I've been on the board there about 12 years. I'm also the person who, together with Mark and Mark's office, runs Make Music Day, which happens every June 21st here. And I've been here about 24 years from New York City, raised our kids here. I live in Southport also. I used to work in advertising before I had my kids for a long time, and happy to be here, and I appreciate the appointment, Brenda. Excited about what we can do.
And she didn't say that she hit it out of the park with Make Music. Hit it out of the park. It was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Not just me.
I'm Matt Ostreicher. I grew up in Fairfield by Sacred Heart. And because of arts, I got to travel around, work in China, India, Middle East. And I hope to bring that, worldly perspective back. It's nice to be in the circle. You could see me often at the Sacred Heart Community Theater. I'm executive director, most known as the Barbie Theater right now. I think that's us. I still hold a post at the Apollo Theater in Harlem. I'm there every Wednesday. I've been there 12 years. So that's a relationship I keep and has, helped our relationship here, and occasionally disappear for other quick things that I hope and help enrich our community. So I'm really happy to serve and to meet everybody and be part of this. So thank you for the appointment, and thank you, Mark, for this and for all you've done to help us thrive here. Yeah, very interested in supporting the artistic community. I'm thinking of, the community as a whole and what we can do together.
Great. Hi, I'm Kevin Goslin. I've spent my entire career as an advertising creative professional, but currently, just about a year and a half ago, I became the global creative director at Save the Children. So using my same skills to do something a little bit different. I feel like a newcomer, only been in Fairfield 10 years after the group, so this is my first work with the town, but having seen the ability of art and projects I've worked on myself and just in the general space to power visits and culture and just the general brand of a place, of a city. I'm super excited about, the potential for that in Fairfield. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Kevin.
I'm Katie Lang, not the singer. I work at the Quick Center for the Arts doing business development, community relations, but we're a lean team, so a bit of everything there. As a child of the arts, I have a BFA in dance, contemporary dance, and I'm very excited, and especially as a mother of 2 young children who've really benefited from the arts. I'm really excited for this, both for performing arts, visual arts, and getting the community involved, especially in a time when we can't seem to get together. I feel art is a great bridge to understand different people's perspectives. So hopefully we can do that here. And thank you, Brenda, for the appointment, and I'm excited.
And it's your birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Well, I'm in awe of all of you. You guys are rock stars. So this is a great group, and I look forward to working with you, and I expect great things in terms of our promotion of the arts. I wanted to just go over a couple things. Brenda, I don't know if you have to run, but
Are you going to handle the chair?
Yes,
Do you wanna do that
can.
now, or do you wanna
Sure.
handle that?
I
Or you
can,
want me to?
either or. First of all, has everyone been sworn in? I mean, okay, so, good, we're official. Brenda, would you like to hold the election? I can then go.
So,
through
as we, for those of you who are not used to serving on boards and commissions, we usually ask for a nomination or a volunteer. If someone would like to be the chairman, I know you're new, some of you are new to this process, but is there any one willing to chair the commission? Let's put it that way first.
Be willing to do it.
Anyone else would like to serve as chair?
Can you just say a few words about what it would entail?
Well, the chair is really responsible for conduct of the meetings and overseeing conduct of the commission, really, setting the course and direction. The 2 positions that are required are chair and secretary. We can also have a vice chair, so in the event that the chair is absent, the vice chair can run the meeting in his or her stead. But, you know, it's, and usually we have, appointments to leadership posts are good for a year, and then we can decide to renominate or. So it's really up to you, but, you know, if, we can accept other nominations, or we can close nominations and move forward with Charlie as the chair, it's up to you guys. I know it's kind of like everyone's spies, like.
Sounds like you have experience.
Well, I have a little experience with
Yeah.
running meetings for the town, so that's,
Yeah.
that's only 1 year, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Like, how can I screw up, right?
Love it, Charlie.
Yeah.
Way
We
to
have
go.
a
So to make it official,
So, I mean, really taking that on is a good thing, because it is the one who's sort of stuck holding the bag, you know, so they have to make sure that the information goes out, the meeting room gets scheduled, you know, reminders to members to when the meetings are and things of that nature, and then the one who communicates information back and forth to the committee. So thank you, Charlie, for stepping up.
Thank you for having me on here.
So is that by unanimous acclaim?
So so Charlie McDonald has put his name in. All in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Way to go, Charlie.
All right, and no opposed and no abstentions. Okay, so is there anyone who's willing to step up to be vice chair?
Happy to do it.
Okay.
All right, is there anyone else, or are we comfortable with that? Okay, so all in favor?
Connor?
Aye.
And we do need a secretary, so.
And now that is the fun job. No, it's just a joke. We have, everything is recorded now, so obviously meetings are recorded. So the only thing a secretary has to do is say who was in attendance and note if there was any vote taken on an item and what the vote was. And that's really it. You don't have to go into writing big scripts or anything like that. Well, nobody's jumping for that one.
Lou said she would be happy to do it, so I'm happy to have Lou do it.
Perfect.
Roll reverse.
All right. All in favor of Lou as secretary?
Aye.
All right. Well, the election of
Okay.
officers.
There we go. All right, well, listen, have a lovely meeting, and thank you again, everyone. And please, if you have any questions for me or Mark, feel free to reach out. We're here to help.
Thank you, Brendan. Go to Peter, please.
I will. Thank you, Charlie. Have a good night, everyone.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I was.
Yeah, overview.
Couple other things in your packet. I'm sure, in addition to the copy of the ordinance establishing the commission, I did include an excerpt from our charter that talks about conflicts of interest. I just asked to provide that to all the boards and commissions I work with, and so just familiarize yourself in the event. I don't anticipate any, but that's something I have to ask to.
You don't need signed copies of that, right?
We do not.
Okay.
There won't be that formal in terms of boards, when it went out. And Jennifer was kind enough there's a primer on Robert's Rules of Order on the town's website. I provided a link to it. She was kind enough to print it out, so I'll just reference that as well. There's a couple other things just a couple housekeeping matters. One of the things, you know, was mentioned, looking at establishing an arts cultural district. I think some of the people who were interested in establishing a commission were also looking at grant opportunities. So the town does have a grants coordinator, and we do have a grants policy. So those things do need to be coordinated. You can certainly search out grant opportunities, both near and far away. Usually the state, depending on how sometimes they have good years and bad in terms of providing funding for the arts, but they do annually solicit these opportunities. But just ask that, you know, working through the chair, your leadership here, that those be coordinated through through the grants coordinator. It does require, the policy requires notice to the request to the CFO and the CFO then go ahead with it. We're aware of you're pursuing this grant opportunity. And again, the grants coordinator there is to help, facilitate that process.
Who is the grants coordinator?
Terry, Brown, and I'm working with her, speaking of grants, I'm working with her right now on the FY '24 Supporting Arts Grant Program. So the other thing that the town, boards did in establishing, an arts commission is they, very consciously in this year's budget, allocated $1,000 as a placeholder. It's in my budget for the work of this commission. A lot of money, obviously, but $1,000 is actually the entry fee in terms of applying for supporting arts grant, program. So you need to show evidence that you at least have allocated or appropriated $1,000 to apply. And so we are planning to apply on your behalf. We're not overly optimistic that we might get it because it's a pretty crowded field. We're pulling together a lot of stuff at the last minute here. It's due Friday. But we're going to apply for like matching dollars, $1,000, $1,500, just to get us started, to fund the work of this. And even if we're not successful, at least we're on their radar. So we've already reached out to the Office of Arts and indicated that there is a new Arts Commission in Fairfield. They're very excited, and we indicated we were planning to apply. So they know we're actually on their map. So I think for nothing else, it's good to just, get on their radar, and hopefully that'll open up additional opportunities. You all have been invited to a group email account, so I did send it out just to make sure that the IT side of it did work. I'm also on that, so when you want to email the commission, it'll come to me as well. For non-substantive logistics things, I'm happy to respond on your behalf. If there's more substantive policy type questions, I'll confer with the chair, certainly acknowledge on your behalf that we got your message. And that way, instead of, each of us chiming in and sending it, there's one voice. At some point, if, through the chair, if you want to establish a spokesperson or the chair wants to change that up, that's totally fine with me. But in the meantime, I'll be happy to do that, at least in terms of, non-substantive. When's the Arts Commission going to meet? I can respond to that. Provide links to the, but if it's a more substantive issue, then I'll certainly early and then hold it over if the commission has to meet to discuss it. That's. I also did want to mention, because I've been holding them off, our designated regional service organization is the Cultural Alliance of Fairfield County. Many of you probably know David Green, who's the executive director, longstanding, he's a resident of town. The town of Fairfield is a member of the Cultural Alliance, for all their communications. He's been anxious to introduce himself and his organization to all of you. Probably already know him and his work, but I will provide the group email, and I'm sure you'll get a letter of introduction.
Yeah, he does a good job. I mean, in all
He does
honesty,
an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Outstanding job.
Didn't know he lived in town, so that's.
Yeah, and the other reason I mentioned the Cultural Alliance is if we do go forward with a arts and cultural district, we do need to work through the designated regional service organization, the Cultural Alliance, in terms of putting that application in. He's also planning to, and I'll mention this as well, have a convening of local arts commissions, which we are hosting here in Fairfield at the end of September on the 26th, 10 to 12. I know probably all of you, or many of you do, have other responsibilities and obligations, but I will send out that notice in the event that you wish to attend. You're certainly more than welcome to. Again, you reached out to us and asked if we would host. I was very excited to have a Fairfield Arts Commission on board, and sure, so we're having it over in the old Town Hall conference. And that's pretty much my news and reports for this evening. We do need to establish a meeting schedule. I don't know if this is a convenient time, like the second Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock, or, I work with the Economic Development Commission. It meets first thing in the morning, like 8:30 in the morning, 8:30, and then I work with the Affordable Housing Committee that meets in the evening at 7 o'clock, and that's traditionally when 7 or 7:30, when a lot of boards and commissions meet. The second and fourth Tuesdays, do present somewhat of an issue for me if, in the event I have to go to Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, meet on Tuesdays, but, totally up to you.
Well, all you guys that are involved with venues, is a Tuesday better than like a Friday?
Don't
Just
skip
half
on
joking.
Friday.
Right.
I know Lou and I had a Fresh Air Series today we couldn't go to, and that's
Oh.
5:30, so
Yep.
we had to miss something too today.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard for me.
Every
But-
commission meets on Tuesday, whether it's, every
Yeah.
2 weeks or every 3 weeks, it's crazy.
Here's the current schedule for August. So there's nothing on the first Tuesdays.
No,
Either,
yeah, that's fine.
In September, the first Tuesday is the 5th, so there is a bunch of stuff happening, and that's right after Labor Day, so, you know, it's really up to you, I
Does
guess.
it matter where we meet,
It doesn't, you know, we have,
except technology?
except for technology. So the 3 conference rooms, primary conference rooms for small boards and commissions, here upstairs and then the Old Town Hall Conference Room, all have the same setup in terms of the ability to do hybrid meetings like this. So, you know, any of those 3 would be an option. So I don't know if you wanna think about it, or, and I'll leave it up to you.
Does anybody have any suggestions? I'm okay with any day of the week, basically. I mean, I could switch it up. I just, you know, Jennifer threw out Tuesday, so. Yeah, I think just for the town, it's easier to do it at nighttime, because if residents wanna chime in, you don't wanna do it during the daytime.
Mornings are chaos.
You have to give an option to come.
6 is probably the earliest you could do it and have people, you know, finish up a workday and be able to participate
Right.
in a meaningful way.
commuters.
You know,
For 6 to 7.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 6 is, I think that's,
So you can get home from Jeopardy. No, just joking.
Just 'cause I don't live on this side of town, so it's easier for me to come,
Mhm.
to go home.
Come back, right?
yeah, me as well, I mean.
6 is good for everybody?
Yeah.
So, day of the week.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursday. Tuesdays, I don't look at, if you look at the calendar,
You have Thursdays?
So
zoning's on the first
So
Thursday.
the economic is in the morning, zoning
Oh, that's
board of
morning.
appeals is at 3 o'clock, and that's not a significant.
Yeah, Matt's making
Thursday.
Thursday's not good?
Thursday's tough.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause,
to
yeah,
be
when
able
we
to
get
run
into,
shows in a
right,
small team.
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, when we get into that, yeah.
Wednesday?
But, you know,
Let us know, right?
Yeah, I would say,
Wednesday I'm at Apollo till midnight every week.
Okay.
Ooh, so we can meet there.
We can use the theater as a space on a Tuesday if we needed another space.
Oh, okay.
And we could stream from there if we, you know, or.
Oh.
Uh,
Yeah.
But if it's gotta be Thursday, I'll.
I just
I'll
remember
do it,
having
yeah.
3 meetings on a Tuesday.
What's people's schedules on Mondays?
Yeah, as long as you're not in, Mondays can be
Mondays are
Board of
fine.
Selectmen and
Monday.
RTM,
Oh, okay.
so that's,
Oh.
Tuesdays, unless you're on the Board of Finance, it's not a bad meeting night for me, but you don't have to, other than the second and fourth.
Sorry, Sam, I think we're losing.
I think it's
this Tuesday, yeah, sorry.
Would you
well, I
wanna
guess
do
my
it?
other question too is, are we, thinking of meeting once a month, twice a month?
That's true.
Well, you have to have,
Every
what,
other-
10 meetings a year?
I would think typically, most boards and commissions meet monthly.
Correct.
You're certainly willing, you know, if you have something you're working on and
Right.
you wanna meet more regularly, have a special meeting, but at least monthly, and then some, again, the ordinance says 10 meetings a year,
Yes,
so they're
that's it, 10.
anticipating that maybe over the summer, July and August, sometimes
August
it's hard to get a
and
quorum.
December.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
usually what somebody
And
takes.
you
Not
also-
usual to have a lot of.
And you have to have a
meetings
quorum too, so meetings can be canceled
canceled due to
without
lack
a
of
quorum.
Right.
So it's ideal that people can call in at the same time as present.
What's the third Tuesday in the month look like?
Third Tuesday would be, let's see, this is September, so third Tuesday, no, I mean, I don't
Harbor management.
know any of these groups, and again, certainly I'm not going to.
So you'd be available the third Tuesdays?
Third Tuesday could work, yeah.
Third Tuesday is 6?
Yeah,
Good?
yeah,
Doesn't look like
that's
a problem. I mean, there's not a lot of, any overlap on any of the commissions.
Forum, we have devices, so if we're gonna Zoom,
Zoom,
you know, you got your phone.
I think the technology is the dial-in, or is it a Mark? My other commissions have been just the dial-in number and.
Yeah, so I maintain a Zoom account. I find Zoom is a little easier both for the
Does
public
that-
to use, but we
The
can.
town use, so the
We
town-
have a town Zoom account as well.
and we could use that.
We can use that or we can use WebEx.
And there's no conflict on the third Tuesdays.
I don't believe so, but I will confirm that.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be great.
yeah, and then also I usually do a quick check. I don't know all the holidays in my head, but,
Only when alternate side of the street parking isn't in effect is when I know there's a holiday.
and we only have to really give notice to the town clerk for the balance of the current calendar year, and
Yeah.
then we'll do it again in January.
I agree with you on
Alright,
Zoom.
first Tuesday of
So if you can do, if the Zoom account is available, that would be,
Yeah, we have both Zoom and 3 WebEx accounts, so between all those,
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure.
wonder why the Harbor Commission never used it, because it's a dial-in, and it's,
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Sometimes a little, it's gotten better, and people have gotten more used to it, but I know initially it was a real learning curve for all of us to get, run meetings and then also do all the technology on top of it. Well, I'll circulate that to everyone, the third Tuesday, double check and make sure.
Meetings are 1 hour typically?
It's really up to you, most
When
meetings
when they
go
end, I mean, they start
hour,
at 6
hour and a
or a
half.
couple minutes after, and then if business
Okay.
gets wrapped up, you go.
yeah.
Because if it helps, I mean, technically, I could do 6 to 7 on Wednesdays if I'm Zoom, if that makes it better.
We'd like to see you here in person.
I'd rather be here in person, yeah.
Third
And is it okay to take notes on a laptop in these meetings?
Totally.
Everyone's kind of old
Yeah.
school with it, right? I didn't know.
Everyone's old school by writing.
By writing,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm just trying not to know, so
It's being recorded, so it's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, yeah, so, Lou, if you have to develop minutes, and I'll create a template, which I can share with you, and just
Okay.
fill in the gaps.
Okay,
But, you only have to record who's there, who's not.
so I should be doing this right now?
I will do it this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have
And I'll provide that template for you, and you can
Okay.
just change it, edit. If I'm not here, I'm happy to help when need be, and happy to attend meetings when I can.
So in terms of the technology, who should be,
I'll make sure that that's set up,
Jennifer will get it done.
Um,
It'll be sent out with a reminder for the.
again, I will try to be here as much as possible.
That first meeting,
Just to make
Tuesday
sure
the 19th.
Yep.
you have some
just wanna make sure that
resources.
Yeah.
somebody's there to.
Right.
Mark, I got a question about, the cultural district definition.
Yeah,
So we, as a committee, we're looking to design that and then submit it to, the
yeah,
regional,
right.
and that helps with the funding and everything. It says in the write-up that it's supposed to be within walking distance. So what does that do? Like, I mean, if you do downtown, what's it gonna do for like the Black Rock Theater?
You can have more than one district, number one. And then, yes, it does, the definition does say it should be walkable, a defined boundary. And, obviously has to have some cultural and artistic, facilities and, district. But you can establish more than one.
We submit more than one, or just submit one and then?
We
you
can
have it?
submit one and then create a secondary district later on. The other thing that we did when we started developing an inventory of arts, cultural assets here in town is we didn't limit it geographically. So we're gonna provide with you and ask you to, view it and hopefully add and embellish it, all that we know townwide. So the only geographic limitation is has to be within the town of
Right.
clearly there is there's a concentration within the downtown, and that probably does, I think most people's mind probably is what they're thinking of when they look at an arts cultural district, but there's no reason that we couldn't. And downtown could be very expansive. It certainly, I consider Quick Center to be walkable.
That's
in the
walkable, yeah.
downtown. It may not be easy to be walkable to the Egerton Center at Sacred Heart, but, we can establish more than one district. So if, again, we had an area in Southport that we wanted to create a district, we could
Is
certainly.
the Egerton Center in Bridgeport or in Fairfield?
The other thing, you can establish cross, municipality districts too. You have to work together with Bridgeport. I don't know if Bridgeport has or is thinking about establishing it, but that's another possibility. It does provide for that, you just have to work.
Egerton is in Bridgeport, correct?
No, Egerton
It's
is
in Fairfield.
It is in Fairfield, just on the border.
I was just giving an example.
I was just curious.
As far away as I could think
Yeah.
of.
Well, I was
Probably
thinking
Park Avenue.
Yeah.
Park Avenue, I was in Park Avenue's half and half.
Yeah.
Park Avenue is on the Fairfield
Fairfield
side.
That's
One
correct.
side, one
And
side
then
of it.
on-
Yeah, 'cause I go to the J, and that's considered Bridgeport.
That is on the other side,
Yeah.
which is Bridgeport, for sure.
Yeah. So who else is, like, out of the downtown area? You're Black Rock Turnpike, you're,
Downtown.
you have the downtown theater, and then you have Egerton, but what else,
Yeah.
anybody else outside of this area?
I mean, I work down here,
Yeah.
and then my house is over near Sacred Heart.
I was just
Where
thinking
is
about,
the
But
studio?
the studio,
It's right behind the dance studio next, and behind TD Bank next to Rite Aid. Like, we're pushed back, we're that
Yeah.
big green
Do you
barn.
do you remember Twin Pines? I think it was called Twin Pines, right? Do you remember
Uh,
Twin Pines?
Pines.
Yeah, that's.
Whispering Pines.
Whispering, that's Whispering. Whispering Pines, that's a studio.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's sort of over there, yet, you know.
It's not.
And we'd
quite
love
in
to
the
move
middle.
back downtown. Our lease
You,
is up.
you were.
Oh,
Ah,
Is it?
okay.
Our
We're-
lease is up
yeah.
next year.
Our
and
lease
we
is
may
up in
not be
May.
renewing, not because we don't want to, but we started renting the
I've been talking to Mark for a long time. I would love to see a major
art building.
collaboration.
Yeah, is there
I would
something
love
that the
that.
Arts Council can be part of to sort of bring the arts community closer to, within walking distance?
Well, I think there's, yeah, sure, but I also think there's benefit to having it more dispersed as well, you know, that, so, and certainly, we run into this all the time. I work with, small businesses, you know, and there is obviously a core of retail businesses downtown, and we also try to work with businesses in Southport and Greenfield Hill and Stratfield. Sometimes they don't feel as much love because a lot of the events and activities that we do are downtown, because that's where the bulk of the retail shop is. So I fully appreciate that, but I do think there's a benefit to having, you know, supporting the arts wherever it may exist in town. And just because you have an arts culture district doesn't mean you can't have events throughout town that celebrate the arts and promote.
Oh, no doubt, but obviously,
And the issue is,
yeah, the marketing perspective is you
Yeah.
build, you start from somewhere, you build on that, you
Mhm.
build your foundation, and you build out, but, yeah.
Well, I think we're also talking about two different things. One is like, how do we support and encourage the arts in Fairfield? And then the separate idea is creating a district that,
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
dedicated.
yeah. And I think there's, you know, again, the thought with some folks was it does open up some, not besides the panache and recognition factor. I mean, there's, I think, designated arts and cultural districts in Connecticut. Some people felt very passionately, both on the board and RTM, that, you know, Fairfield, with its wealth and abundance of art and cultural facilities, should have an arts and cultural district. So I know there's interest in doing that, but, you know, again, broad mission is to.
Can you talk a little bit about the grants that we might be up for once we have a designated area? Who would be the recipients? Can you envision what might happen with those monies?
Well, some of the organizations, I know Fairfield Theater Companies,
So they-
Show, Quick Center have been recipients
Yeah.
of grants in the past. We certainly don't want to necessarily be competing for that, but there might be things that this commission wants to do. And one of it could simply be just making sure that all of our arts and cultural entities here in town are aware of those opportunities, voting,
Granting opportunities.
grant opportunities so that they can apply directly for funds. But there may be things that you want to do that could be best supported through philanthropic or grant at foundation level. So certainly wouldn't want to foreclose that opportunity. And I'm sure you're probably all cognizant of those things that crop up or will be. Maybe you're looking for them for other things that you're doing, but again, through the town, we just want to make sure that this, we've had a couple occasions in the past where we've got boards and commissions to kind of go rogue, and then at the last minute, you have to go to the boards and get permission. No one knows it you know, somebody has made an application. So that was the whole point when they centralized and created a policy and said, you know, certainly welcome to pursue those, but you have to make sure that, you know, CFO and grants coordinator are aware of those things. We're meeting our fiduciary obligations and what.
Did they do the actual grant writing too?
Yeah, actually, the grants coordinator is really good, and I work very closely with her in a lot of different areas, and I called it to her attention. She was already aware of the fact that there's a deadline for the Supporting Arts program for this week, and she's actually working on an application. We're collaborating on it, but I just figured, again, with your blessing, that we would put in an application, if for no other reason, just to make sure that the commission, you know, the Council on the Arts, the state knows that we exist, and we may be making an application in the future.
And they want to give away their money.
Well, they do, but I know there's a lot of competition
Yeah.
for those programs
someone
too,
who
so
writes
it's not like
grants
you're
and-
gonna get a lot of
Yeah,
money.
if she does a good job, which it sounds like she does.
And
Yeah.
private foundations too, or just?
You can certainly pursue private foundations. We don't have as many sources there. We used to subscribe to a program, but we were finding that, you know, most departments weren't taking advantage of it. A lot of them are national, and they're focused on very specific, either geographic or,
Sure.
you know, disadvantaged communities and whatnot, and it was not worth the cost, I guess.
I do have that, which I would be, you know,
But I do know, yeah, I know
To
other
share.
people that
Mhm.
see that and those things, and perhaps in the arts, it opens up a whole new avenue that we
Right.
haven't.
And that's one of the things I did with FTC. I did a bunch of shows to Bridgeport and help generate that, so I don't know if that's something we can do to help other areas to say, look, we're helping, you know, I don't know if that gets us any.
I think, you know, again, a big role of this group would simply be to help many of the organizations that are already engaged in this
Mhm.
work and make sure that they're, aware of those opportunities and getting the support that they need to grow and expand here.
It'd be a good idea to offer, David Green to show up at our next meeting or one.
I think he would be delighted. I said, let's get a commission and panel first and have a meeting schedule, and then after our initial meeting, have at it. So I think David would be an excellent.
He'd be a great person to give an overview of what the
Yeah,
other.
and he can certainly talk a lot more knowledgeably, both in terms of
Yeah.
the Arts and Cultural District as well as funding opportunities.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Liz Shapiro from the Office of Arts will be attending that convening meeting that we're hosting. She represents it.
No, but I'll send him an email and introduce myself and ask him to be in the meeting.
You will be getting an introductory email. I just said.
That would be
let's
a
have
great
meeting.
early
Yeah.
Yeah, get him in there.
meeting, and then if we could have, maybe on, not for every, all the assets in town present to us.
Mhm.
You know,
You'll
inventory.
I mean,
I mean,
it's a pretty impressive
It is.
list. And again, I don't pretend that it's comprehensive, and that's why but you know, one of the things you do need to do, is to have a inventory of your cultural, artistic assets, and you also have to identify them on a map, and we have done that, to a degree, and I'll send out the link to the map as well as our inventory, and hopefully you'll identify some folks who may have, I wish that weren't the case, but I'm sure we did miss some folks, but that's why I wanted to distribute that to you. You do have a page on the web, on the town's website. I will say if you've seen the town's website, it's not great.
We need a good art director.
We are in the process of updating the town's website, so I haven't spent a lot of time editing your page of the town's website. But there is a new website that hopefully will go live by October 1st. And, you
Can
know,
we make our page arty?
well, you know, subject to the limitations of, you know, again, it's
See,
it's a
I
cookie cutter
bow to
to
other
some
people.
degree, so. It will certainly look
Right.
more visually appealing than this one,
Yeah.
and hopefully be easier to navigate and provide more, information that you can find readily. So, but again, I haven't spent a lot of time editing your page because of the impending,
Yeah.
departure and transition to this new web.
What do you around when Ryan Odnick was?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I was asked, I was called in on that too, yeah, that was interesting. And look where we are now.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of things, I won't, one of the other things I think I should mention, I think you all received it, but the Fairfield Beach Residents Association,
Yeah, I bet, she reached out to me and I said, I directed the website.
they're looking for some judges for an upcoming photo contest.
Oh.
If any of you are really interested in.
Did anybody read that? Or did you guys read it?
Yeah.
The only concern I had was it was only eligible to Fairfield Beach residents, so it cuts out the rest of the town to be judged in the contest. I don't know.
It's totally up to you. I did say to Becky, you know, I'm always on the lookout for anything that I can add to my digital library here, so, been working, out to the Fairfield Museum, who has run an annual, photo exhibition in hopes of partnering to, again, build our digital library and have a category for, you know, Fairfield, that we would help seed and provide prize money for, because, again, it's one of the things we get asked a lot. I serve as the kind of the marketing, arm of the town so when we do get written up in national publications, occasionally they're asking us for, hey, send us some photos, and some of the stuff we used to have on the website, we still do, not great, so we've been trying to, again, work with, groups of photographers and amateur and professional, and just building out images. So it was of interest to me.
It interested me too, Mark, and that's why I directed her. She knew me from solid waste recycling. I said, here's a new email, you send it to the commission, we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
But then I read through the whole thing, and just only photographers from Fairfield Beach area, they kind of turned me.
You know, I don't
know if
think
that's typical, or?
it was an ask, and, you know, since you've just been formed, and they're having this month, or next.
It runs through November, I think.
It's,
Long time.
it's very quick, so it's up to you.
Speaking of marketing and photo ops and stuff, as you guys do all these, like there's something tonight at Barcelona and all that, as those happen, can any of us start to be invited to that, so that
Sure.
way we can start seeding the market that we exist?
Yeah, the arm that we use is, Luke knows, Mary Alice Nabropoulos is my marketing coordinator. We have, several, social media channels under Experience Fairfield, so if you wanna like us or join, somehow, you'll get everything that comes out through our social media. The town has its own official page, but we also do that for marketing events and activities. Experience Fairfield?
But we do have to be somewhat careful of what happens outside of town business, because like, we weren't able to meet outside of, you know, publicly noted meeting.
So, yes, anytime you have 5 members of this board, it's a meeting. It constitutes a quorum, and it's a formal official meeting, so,
So we can do 4 at a time.
it typically doesn't, you know, most times it doesn't come into an issue.
But like I could ask questions, like have you,
Yeah,
back
you
and forth
can-
with one person,
yeah.
if I have a bunch of questions
Yeah.
to figure out, or like bounce ideas off,
Well,
like, or just questions.
For sure. You
Okay.
just don't wanna be conducting business
Business,
through
yeah,
email.
got it,
or-
got it.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah, yeah.
without having a notice to it.
Got it,
So,
yeah.
I
Does
think,
anybody want to volunteer to be a judge for that photo contest?
We have someone at the theater who's a photographer who would probably like to do it.
Because you live in the Fairfield Beach area.
Definitely.
Do you have to be in the Fairfield Beach?
That's what
To
the
judge it?
email said, you
No,
have
to
to.
judge
Budget.
Not
Oh, to judge it, to judge it, no.
Yeah, to judge
To
it.
judge it.
To enter the contest, you have to live
Yeah,
there.
he would,
To enter the
Be a
contest,
judge.
but not to judge, you can be outside.
All right.
I thought they were looking for judges.
Judges,
Yeah,
you're looking for 2 or 3 people
I
in this
think he
committee.
would probably enjoy being a judge. I can run it by him.
All right, let me know.
I
Anybody
mean, I
else?
could do it, I've been on many, many awards.
Yeah, and it'd be
so-
nice to have someone from the council there to say we have, no offense to, because there's so many other photographers that we can get to judge, but someone from
So
the
Kevin, you're
council,
willing to do it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let her know. Anybody else? She asked for 2 or
I think
3.
We
two
need
is
more than
fine.
one, I'll do it too, I've done
Alright.
it for the schools contest.
Thanks, Christine.
No problem.
Let her know.
So it might behoove us to, either this meeting or next meeting, to maybe just set some short-term, just a few little bullets, goals, just so we have an idea of where we're going and how we want to get there.
Priorities, at least,
Yeah.
you know, we know what we have to do, but that's the most important. You know.
Well, the establishment of the cultural district, I mean, that's the most important thing on our agenda for
That is,
now.
you know, the one that's clearly referenced in the ordinance, but, you know, there are other things that have cropped up that have kind of pushed this, the arts are alive and well in Fairfield. We've been doing a great job. All of you are, one way or another, responsible for all that, with your affiliations, with groups here in town. But, we have had, for example, requests to, create more of a public mural program.
Right.
That was me,
Familiar with it?
probably, yeah.
You know,
Well, I know
looking
in
at.
town, I've met your artists who do murals, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I did talk, the city of Bridgeport has many of you have probably seen them, and talked to them about how they put that together. It obviously did require quite a bit of seed money from the
Yeah.
city. One of the interesting things is we've have a couple of examples of people in the private sector that have just done it as well.
Yeah, the
which we can
hotel
celebrate,
downtown,
you know.
yeah, the
Now,
hotel.
it started with the
Right.
hotel,
Right.
but there's a couple other businesses that have done murals, on the sides of their buildings, which are really cool. And it'd be nice to, again, I understand the sentiment behind it, but that would be another thing that the group could look at, but I'm sure you've got a whole host of other ideas as well.
So you would be open to visual cues indicating you're open to anything?
I would be
You
open
gotta
to
figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, you just,
All possible.
we struggled when the hotel came to us originally. I was like all for it, but then we had to think about, well, what, you know, do we set, communities do establish some guidelines in terms of what's appropriate. We don't wanna be
Content, yeah.
regulating too
Right,
much
yeah.
the content, but, you know, first they have to deal with zoning issues, as to whether or
Right.
not it constituted a sign.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of communities do establish some overall ground rules. We don't have any, written right now. People are just organically, which is cool. But, you know, I can anticipate, and we used to do, when the Fairfield Arts Council was here, we used to do a banner exhibit downtown.
Right.
My office oversees the downtown lampposts, and we do rotating banner exhibits. So we used to do that with both professional and amateur artists, celebrating their artwork. And invariably, every year, we would get a complaint about, one of the banners.
Said it was offensive?
complaint.
What's that?
Said it was offensive?
Yeah, yeah. You know, you got a town of 62,000 people, you're gonna offend
Yeah, you
somebody.
gotta
Yeah.
So, but, you know, the thing
Is
is,
that why you don't do it anymore?
no, we don't do it simply, I'm very sad that we don't do it anymore, because the Fairfield Arts Council
Right.
disappeared.
Right.
You know, after Ryan left, we
Yeah.
went to the Cultural Alliance,
Right.
and then we had, a couple other folks that were running the Arts Council and got kind of over their skis a little bit, I think, in terms of, and they folded.
Yeah.
Which was sad, because they
But we
used to
still can do it.
they used to do that, they used to do a annual celebration of like Artist of the Year,
Mhm.
or a lot of things that
Yeah.
we used to do.
I think that we should
These
look
are
at
all
those things, yeah.
fertile grounds for you
Yeah.
to
Okay.
Yeah, now that we're.
resume or resurrect.
No, absolutely,
That's
agree.
a very full agenda for next month, Connor.
Yeah, I know, right? You laid it out for us.
Well, I think if we have, if, you know, if we invite David Green, he comes, and we have the discussion about what the district is after you send the maps and points and such, I think we have enough to keep us through next month, but then, if anybody has any ideas for the agenda between now and then, just email them.
Yeah, the one,
Agenda.
I will also mention, the one thing I've done with both, affordable housing and economic development is, you know, again, after you've kind of get your, sea legs, so to speak, you know, at the point, we had some new members coming on, so it was a combination of orientation as well as retreat, which you can do. We've done retreats, at a location at Fairfield U, for example, and at a couple hours and just brainstorm ideas. There's nothing wrong with doing that too, so, you may wanna reserve, next year sometime as you kinda start through this, come up with, do that as a dedicated planning session, figure out, what.
Yeah, an ideation session is always gonna be great, depending when it is, and I don't know if anyone else does, but I have a couple of groups that actually do that, and they'll do it as a favor for me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
A couple of things. So, when I was reading over, responsibilities, there's, reports they're due in December. A report that's due, is that gonna be?
There is an annual report, and
And
again,
I
I
look at the
had to do that for the Affordable Housing Committee, so I can work with you on putting together a little bit of a template. I won't think there's huge expectations, given that you're just being formed now and have a few months before you, present to the board, but it actually is a good thing, I think, in terms of letting not just the RTM, but the broader public know as to what you're doing. And,
Can we solicit the broader public for ideas?
well, sure, yeah. One of the things you'll have to do, if you decide to designate an art, you're gonna have a meeting, a public meeting.
Yes, public comment has to be part of every meeting. In fact, the general public can dial into any of the commissions.
Yeah, this is.
And that, I would imagine that this would be more popular than the Harbor Commission or the Shellfish Commission. No offense, having been part of those, but, the public comment is going to be organic, and once you create more awareness. And for the agenda, for the, Mr. Chairman, I need to know the assets we have in town and know what the mission is for each organization. I know there's overlap, there's things. Look, I grew up in Fairfield, and we had Westport Envy. They had all the arts and everything. Arts was a community theater, which was my babysitter. I watched Planet of the Apes back to back because my mom would drop me off. That was it. And now, look where we are now, and building that awareness and people know that there's governance around a commission, Arts Commission, and promoting the assets in the town. It's just really exciting, and I'm not sure I know everything that we have in town.
I'm sure there's gonna be groups on that list that I don't know either, so.
Yeah, and from the visual arts perspective especially, yeah.
And it's not limited, again, you can also reference as part of your inventory, festivals, events, things that you do,
Right.
like Make Music Day is a good example. That every year and that's.
The art of
nationwide.
ice cream making,
Yeah.
we have a couple of ice cream stores, just saying, just opening up.
Well, you can, depends on your definition of the arts.
There you go.
Culinary arts.
Culinary.
We do Restaurant Week, it's
There
a
you go.
celebration of the culinary arts. So,
Perfect.
Might be a little bit.
When is that?
October.
See what you like.
End of October.
End of October, right?
I want to revisit I know we talked about the date and the time for the meetings now, but, the charter calls for 10 meetings a month, and we didn't really get on that, a year. Excuse me, 10 a month, 11. 10 a year. Did we decide on if there is a month you want to skip, or if there's, I know, when I was on solid waste recycling, they did one in the summer, and they did the holiday runs around Christmas and Hanukkah. I don't know what the pleasure of everybody is for that. If you want to meet straight through until next year, get started. If you want to take hiatus in December, I don't know.
I would vote to have meetings every month, but it's
Exactly.
getting started, this is.
I agree. You guys have done the hard work, you're having a meeting in August.
It's a big project, and being able to dial in.
I agree.
I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
It's
Keep working.
Yeah.
Okay.
My personal timing is, anytime you ask is gonna be fine until my wife says no.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm good with any time, anywhere.
Yeah.
What happens if we have to miss?
That's not an issue, I mean, at some point, if that becomes a habitual, then I think whether or not you can provide the time commitment. But, everyone misses.
Yeah, is there anything in the statute, like for my board
No.
of directors, they have to?
No, there's no bylaws for this, but I think people do look at attendance and, if you're missing the majority of the meetings or, even some commissions, 3 or 4, stands out. A lot of people are there. So, again, I think that's really for the chair to police.
I don't have a problem meeting every month, even in all 12 months, and I have
You
Ms.
guys
Monique
will,
fill in, or.
you guys will decide, but you're only gonna get us through the end of 2023, and then you'll have to do this again in December. typically, you know, whether it's in December or January, have a, you know, election of officers and,
And you have staggered terms? How do you do that on the?
well, I will send out the attendance, I think, the, membership.
Tenures, yeah, there's 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it
there
is
was,
staggered.
that's awesome, yeah.
So I guess you just have to consider that as you're appointing people, you know,
What are
I
you?
think.
I'm 1 year. But then you have the opportunity to.
You have
Of course,
to be reappointed.
yeah,
Right,
it's
right.
just, they have to stagger.
Right.
And there's no budget either.
Got $1,000.
Just,
Yeah.
I mean, just $1,000.
$1,000.
Do we have to go to the RTM for the $1,000?
No. It's in my budget,
There you
right now.
So
that
$1,000.
I'll.
Something to grow.
Yeah. And again, I think that was, again, strategic conscious on the budget making authority. They wanted, you know, be able to qualify for this particular grant opportunity, supporting arts.
That's all.
Say, you
I
have
missed
at least
that.
$1,000.
I got it,
You said,
yeah.
yes.
And I'm sure there's tons of things we could do in the beginning that wouldn't require a lot of capital, even if it's just saying, we're having an arts day in town and having all the places have an open house and.
Yeah, and there's also ways to monetize things when we start to get into it, people buying whatever slots or donations or sponsorships.
Run a lot of,
How many
I
chips,
run a bunch of events on a Tuesday.
how many times can you have chips on the back of your t-shirt?
Yeah. So, yeah, we can.
This might be my problem, because I have a degree in philosophy, but you know, the arts is a big word, and we all represent different organizations. I'm just wondering, I like the idea you mentioned of brainstorming to figure out what that means, if we can find kind of a bigger vision of arts to serve than our own particular, you know, institutional needs, that we can kind of be together on, that will, you know, where we can, kind of define arts and find our common ground.
You wanna set up a vision statement
Something like that would be
for the,
helpful, I
okay, for the
think.
group?
Otherwise, I'm not sure how everyone else is thinking about.
I hear you.
Yeah, I think that's a
Ice
fair
cream
point.
was already
Yeah.
been mentioned, so I don't, I mean, that certainly could be an art, so I would feel like it would be good to have the scope and vision of what we're doing together.
Great idea.
Well, I do have a way that we used to do that.
Okay.
But I could save it for a designated, time, but we just, if you're gonna ask me that, I'll answer sincerely. One of my jobs was living in Maui, working for Ram Dass, who's the guy, he wrote the book Be Here Now. It's one of the big works that, brought yoga and Eastern philosophy to the Western Hemisphere. He was a Harvard professor who was kicked out for doing, psychedelic drug experiments on graduate students. Very illustrious history. But he would have these large discussions with groups of people. It might be Oprah on a given day, or someone you've heard of, some tech CEO, and everyone sits around, they pick a theme and say, tell me and this was a particular day that this happened. I said, tell me what experience for you kind of let you know what arts are about, or got you hooked on arts. What transformative experience did you have in arts that informed your idea of the power of arts, or what arts can be, the potential? And everyone went around, shared their experience, and from that, a lot of common ground was built on how arts inform the rest of life, and why, you know, we're all here running organizations and dealing with the practicalities of life. At one point, I'm sure we were all kids who saw something. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and I took her to a show, and I just see, you know, the actual experience of, oh, this is why this is what got me hooked, and that return to the essence of what we're doing and finding, working from that place. So there's the broader idea of it.
Have a full meeting agenda.
Yeah.
You have got, you
So
got.
many
I
It would be helpful.
Love them. Our homework,
No homework,
or
no homework.
think about that for the next meeting.
I think just if we can work it in somewhere, I would,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Chair.
19th, I believe it
Our
was.
next meeting would be
Me,
Yes, it would be
19th.
September 19th, I believe.
September 19th would be the 3rd,
Yeah,
6 o'clock here.
who needs to reserve the meeting?
I will do that. And if there's an issue with it, I will let you know.
I'll entertain a motion to close. Connor, second?
Second.
Second,
All in
okay.
favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We ended at 7:08. Thank you, everybody.
Charlie?
Yeah.